Victoria 3. I might be late to the party, but this is a video discussing why Victoria 3 sucks. So, let's get on to it. Basically, there are a few schools of thought, you might say. So, the reason I don't like Victoria 3 compared to its predecessor Victoria 2 is simply because it's bad. Yeah. Most of you have probably played a Paradox game if you're watching this, a video criticizing Victoria 3, but basically, uh, the when you don't have the ability to micromanage your units, uh, that's pretty crap. And by the way, I'm not one of those people that leaves a bad review after like 2 hours of gameplay, and then goes back and plays another 500 hours within the next 48 hours. So, I played 20 hours total, and I got this game like a few days after release. It really makes you think how Victoria 2 is a 12-year-old game that literally came in a box with a disc and cost me $15 on sale. And yet, it's $60, multi-million-dollar, like 3-year production that was at the center of Paradox's advertisement and image can be so bad. And I think it's due to the Paradox business model, which is pump out crap, make it better later. I'll give you an example. Imperator Rome. So when it came out, it was obviously garbage. No one's disputing that. And even though they didn't add DLC, they made the game better as it went along, instead of just, releasing a complete game on release. Maybe it would have done better if they did that. But basically, instead of releasing a good game and then, adding updates for free, what Paradox likes to do is they release a completely incomplete, below standard game that sucks, and then they put like $300 of DLC on it. So instead of paying like $60 for Victoria 3, like a half decent or good game, you pay $60 for a piece of garbage, and then Paradox is gonna release a bunch of DLC later. And if you don't believe me, just like read the dev diaries. You can see the hidden subliminal messaging, where it's like, we plan to add on to the war system later. I'll probably pull up a screenshot of like a quote of a dev saying something along those lines. But basically, Paradox likes their DLC. Just look at EU4, the amount of crap that's on that. And for the people that are like, no, Victoria 3 is fine. It's a good game. Come on, man. It's not true. You like if you play Victoria 2 before, most people think like former Victoria 2 players, because at Victoria 2's peak, it had about 3,000 people playing at the same time, and on release date, Victoria 3 had 60,000 people. So, it's 20 times. So, Victoria 2 players are minority of the fan base. Most of them come from, E4, Hoi4, CK3s, other very popular Paradox titles. So, they expect Victoria 3 to be, like the games they came from. So the people that want Victoria 3 to be a cardboard cutout of Victoria 2, it's just not gonna happen. Because Paradox has to change it enough to appease to the casual players, not the hardcore 700,000 hours on 12-year-old Mac game players. And I, myself, have like 415 hours on Victoria 2. And it's one of the best games I've ever played. And definitely a fan of it. But with Victoria 3, what they did is instead of, making a compromise appealing to both fan bases, they decided to go for something entirely different, which is an incomplete game, because it's an incomplete game. It doesn't have any war mechanics. No, that's the first problem. And for the people that are like, it's an economic simulator. You're not supposed to have war. It it's a Paradox game. Can you name me one other Paradox game that isn't strictly a war simulator? Well, you can, and it's Victoria 2. But Victoria 2, although an economic and political simulator, also had a very in-depth military system. If you ever played or watched the game, and most of my channel with like 4 videos or something is Victoria 2 guides and like a bit of gameplay, I guess. But basically, Victoria 2 is a perfect balance of economic and politics and military. The military of the Victorian era. And you can't say that, the period of 1836 to 1936 was a period of peace and prosperity. You just can't say that, because it would be untrue. Like at the start of the Victorian age, with the coronation of Queen Victoria around the 1840s, it was a terrible, terrible place to live in. And there was, although there wasn't anything close to a Great War until 1914, it was still a very militarized society, like jingoism and glory for your country, and Britain, like the king needs you, Britons, the propaganda posters. And basically what the devs did was they stripped this complexity from the Victorian era, and they just tore his jugular out, and they made it about looking at the same menu for the entire game you play and clicking buttons. You go, oh, I'm gonna go to the market, see what my pop demands. Oh, we have a deficit of furniture. I'm just gonna expand some furniture factories. Oh, we have a surplus of cloth. Let me just do a sell order. Oh, we really badly need wood, and the factories aren't profitable to build. Let's just do a buy order. You know, that's all you do the entire game. Because like with military, instead of being the main focus of your playthrough, like if you're in a war, all of your attention goes to the war, right? But now you're just like, oh, I'll just send this general down to Algeria, and keep clicking the buttons to make green line go up, and basically it's just not fun. Honestly, there's no, like, the first few games I did were okay. I was like, this is fun. This is fun. But there's no replayability, because all you do is click buttons, and there's like 3 interesting nations to play. And all the others, especially decentralized nations, well, obviously they'd be less fun, but in Victoria 2 at least, you could civilize, you could have a nice little game, but not in Victoria 3. It's don't know the word for it. It's kind of crap, to be honest. And people might be like, you're overreacting. It's actually a good game. Just give it a try. I've given it a try. I don't like it. You might like it, but I don't. And I want to share my viewpoint. So that's what I think of Victoria 3. It is a boring, lifeless economic simulator that should be more complex and more interesting, but simply isn't. Because the developers made some very poor choices. They had quite the boots to fill, and they missed the mark. And now they're gonna double the price of the game with DLC. And that's it. Screw you, Paradox.